Okay, welcome back. Quickly building on Product Maintenance 101 and jumping right into Product Maintenance 102, we will be learning about different product modes and how to set up modifiers or condiments as they're called within BPOS. In addition, we will also explore some of the not so common product related flags and controls that we skipped over in Product Maintenance 101. Let's get into a brief agenda so you know what to expect. We will start with getting right back into our product list that we started in the last lesson, and we will add some additional products to demonstrate the condiment product modes that we didn't get to yet. After that, we'll add even more products and demonstrate our package product modes, package fixed and package selection. I'll explain the difference between those. And then to wrap up, there is one other product mode that we'll cover and some additional product settings. Before we kick off in back office though, let me just quickly explain what I mean by condiments or these modifiers in BPOS. So condiments, as I'll refer to them from now on, they are options for a product that operators at the till will be prompted for every time a product is sold that has the condiments assigned to it. So we can configure the condiments in a number of ways. We can have, they can have add-on prices, or they can be free of charge. We can force operators to select one or more or none, and so on and so forth. A few different things that we can configure for them. We'll get into some specific examples in a bit, but there's potentially dozens, if not hundreds, of different use cases out there for how condiments can be used within BPOS. So back in our product list here, what I'll do first is add a subgroup to this group called food, and I will call it steak meals. So within this new group, we're going to add some steaks, obviously, but before that, I'll just tell you what the end goal is going to be so that while we're configuring one of these steak meals, you have a better understanding. So I would hazard to guess that most of us are familiar with steak and other proteins having cooking temperatures such as rare, medium, and so forth. And when customers order their steaks in restaurants, they typically let the staff know that they'd like their steak cooked to a certain temperature, and that can be entered into the point of sale system and sent through to the kitchen so that information can be communicated to kitchen staff. So our little demo venue here is no different, so that's what we'll be doing. We'll add those as condiments. Also, for steak meals in this venue though, we like to offer a choice to add on sides when they're sold. You know, baked potato, sweet potato, jasmine rice, that sort of thing. So we'll be doing that, and we'll add those as condiments. Right now you're probably wondering how we can do either of those things, and that is where our product mode called condiment product comes into play. There's a number of other use cases for condiment products. We could use them to add mixers to liquor for bar drinks. We could use condiments to add sauces to food items, adding milk and sweetener options to hot drinks, etc., etc. And I'm sure you'll be able to think of more as we go through this. Now, there's a couple different ways that we could manage condiments in the product list and the workflow of adding them to products. We could add the condiment products first, but what I'll actually do first is add a steak or a steak meal and start configuring it, because there's a couple other things that I want to mention. So with this steak meals group highlighted, I'll go add new product. Now don't forget, we always need to copy an existing product, so we're prompted to select which one to copy. And you might be thinking, well, there's no existing product yet that's even similar to a steak meal that would be suitable for copying, and you're absolutely correct. In fact, we have not yet added any non-stock products to this database at all yet, but more on that in a second. For now, I will just have to copy a stocked product, and I'll need to make the necessary changes. So I'll have to go to our draft beer, our BPOS Pale Ale from the last lesson, and I will select that to copy. I'll give this new product a name. I'll call it let's go with a sirloin meal. So this is the sirloin meal, not a sirloin steak itself. More on that in a minute. So this will be a normal product itself, so we'll leave that. And I will just jump down to these product settings And I want to change the base size here to 1 item. We're never going to sell portions of this steak meal. And in the stock settings section, I do need to change the stock mode to non-stocked. After all, the sirloin meal itself is not a stocked product. The ingredients that will go into it are, though. So the individual sirloin steak that goes into making this meal, the vegetables that are going to be served on the side with it, as opposed to the starches that are going to be condiment options that we'll add in a bit. But the vegetables that are served with it, any cooking oils that are used, so on and so forth, all those things that go into making the meal, which is going to be sold and served, those are our stocked ingredient products, and we'll get to those in a minute. We should also change our product type to food for sale, and I'll change the product sort to mains. That's really all we need to change on the product settings tab for now, so I'll head over to the store/pricing settings tab, and I will remove all of the size names and quantities. I'll just actually give it one size for size 1. I'll just call it 1 item, but we don't actually need to define a size name there. The reason that we don't need to give it a name is because it is only going to be sold as this one size, and I will give it a price of maybe $22. And yeah, I didn't have prices in here for these other sizes, but if we did, we would want to delete those out as well, so that no one does something silly like accidentally sells a size 4 sirloin meal for $100 or something like that. But what I'll do now that I've got these product settings saved as we want them, and we have our price for our sirloin meal saved here. Again, this would be for our main restaurant. If we had different stores in this venue, we could set different prices for different stores. But now that we've got this stuff saved here, I will click OK to save that for the product record. And what we'll need to do now is add some of those ingredient products that will go into the meal, and then we'll go back into the sirloin meal itself and we'll add the quantities of those ingredients. Now this won't be extremely accurate, but more or less just to give you an idea of how this should be set up. So what I'll do is within this products not for sale product group, I'll add a few other groups to it, and we'll call one steaks. And within that group, I will add a product, and I'll need to copy one here. So I'll copy our steak meal, but then I'll need to change a couple things back. And back to our product settings tab. Depends on how we are purchasing these from our supplier. Again, I'll need to make this back to stocked, and what the base size will be. In our instance, we can do something as simple as, for this example, I'll set this as 1,000 grams, so 1 kilogram as the base size, and that way when we go and portion this out as an ingredient for the steak meal, we could set that to 100 grams or 250 grams or whatever that needs to be for the meal. Another option could be we could just have it as 1 item depending on how they're purchased from the supplier, but that all depends. So we could have this set up here from the supplier as 1 steak, and that could be, I'm not sure pack sizes that would be applicable, but maybe 24 steaks per case would be one way to set that up for reordering. And if we were doing that, we probably would want to have this as just 1 item each, so that way when we portion that out, it will be 1 steak per meal. Either way, if we head to the store pricing settings tab here, we actually don't need to have anything entered here unless we did want to sell these sirloin steaks by themselves, but again, we're keeping things simple. In our venue here, these are products not for sale, and this is just going to be the sirloin steak itself. So with that stuff being set, we can set minimum, maximum restock quantities, all this stuff that we'll get to in our stock control lessons, but we'll save that stuff for now. We'll just add our sirloin steak here. So that's 1 product, 1 ingredient product that's going to go into our sirloin meal. I will then add another group here, and we'll just call it vegetables. And to our vegetables group, I'll just add one product and I'll just select the steak to copy. Broccoli. And for this one, we will say that we're probably going to purchase this from our supplier in maybe, if that's the right number of zeros there, for 10 kilos. And we might just purchase that. Could just be optional here. We don't need to have a unit name defined, and it could just be one. So maybe we just purchase our broccoli as one case from our suppliers. There's no units within the case. The difference between that and the base size, again, I'll reiterate, this is how we're purchasing the product from our suppliers, and the base size here needs to be set up to correlate with the units and the portions of the units that are going to be either sold to customers or used internally. In this case, the broccoli won't be sold to customers, but because we're going to use it internally as an ingredient of another product, we do still need to have the base size configured accurately. But with that, I will save our broccoli there, and we will add one final product group to our products not for sale, and we will call it starches. And to our starches group, I'll add potato, sweet potato, and jasmine rice. I will just copy our broccoli, and I'll just leave everything else the same just to speed this up. We'll say we're purchasing our potatoes in 10 kilo cases, and I'll just go ahead and save that, and I'll just copy that. So now that we've got those added, we can go back into our sirloin meal and we can add some ingredients. Just keep in mind that we are just running through a simple basic example to try to keep this lesson to a reasonable amount of time, just a bare bones example to demonstrate how this should be done. And these quantities and ingredients may not necessarily be realistic, but I think they should be somewhat realistic at least. And some venues may want to add in some additional things than what we're doing here. They may want to add in cooking oils and seasonings and things like that, while others will not do that, and they'll just sort of consider those types of things consumable items. We'll get to consumables in another lesson. But for the ingredients for the sirloin meal, we would just go add ingredient, and we'll have to search through the product list to find what we need. But we'll add the sirloin itself, and we can just leave that as the default as one item. But if we did have the sirloin steaks built into the product list by grams or by something else, by a different weight, we could certainly set that up appropriately. Then we'll add the broccoli, and this might not be accurate, but we'll say that's going to be 100 grams of broccoli maybe, and then that'll be it for the ingredients. So again, we might add additional ingredients to this, some cooking oil, butter, whatever the case may be. And the starches that we added to the product list, we'll actually add those as condiment options, so that when customers order their sirloin meal here, which will include the steak itself and the broccoli, they'll then be able to optionally add the starches for maybe an added price. Or maybe the price will be included, but they'll have the option to pick a side. So speaking of the condiment options, if I exit our ingredients here, we can see that we've got the two ingredients in there, and we can go back in to edit those if we need to. But for the condiment options, they are maintained right here next to the ingredients, which you might have noticed. So if I open that, you can see that it looks relatively straightforward here, but there are a few options that we'll come to shortly. Before we actually add any condiments though, I should mention that the condiments that we add to a product do not have to be condiment products. So normal products themselves can also be added as condiments, but we'll get to that next when we add the starches. What we will add first will be the cooking temperature options, but for that we do need to create the products in the system. So for those, I will exit our condiment list for now. I'll save our sirloin product, and we will add another group to the products not for sale, and I will call it modifiers. Whatever you'd like to call this group in your system is up to you. If you're adding condiments, we'll call it modifiers. You could call it condiments. You could call it something different. Just depends on how your product list is structured. And I will add a group to our modifiers subgroup, and I'll call it cooking temps. So as noted previously, each organization is obviously going to structure your product list different, but we might then have additional modifier groups for things like coffee modifiers, alcohol modifiers, etc. But anyway, to this group called cooking temps is where we are going to add our cooking temperatures as condiment products themselves. So for the product to copy at this point, it doesn't really matter since we'll need to change a couple things, and most of the product settings don't really apply to condiment products anyway. But I will just choose steak meal to copy a non-stocked product at least, because for these particular condiment products, they will indeed be non-stocked. They're not even really tangible. So the first one I'll call rare. And then we'll just be able to copy this condiment product and change the name for the rest. But the product mode, I've been talking about condiment products so much, we haven't actually seen this for one yet. So we've got the condiment product, and what we'll look at next is going to be a condiment group. But for this example here, we want to look at condiment products. We will also want to change the group to make sure that's going in the right place, since the workflow that I used here was to copy that product to create this product. So we'll need to make sure that we have our cooking temps group there, so that's going to go into the right group. But that is really all we need to do on this tab, unless we wanted to change the sort or type, but I'll just leave those for this. Over on the store pricing tab, store/pricing settings tab, however, we can make some changes here, and I'll explain something about condiment prices while we're here. We can still set up multiple sizes for condiments if that's something that's applicable, and we can set prices for condiments if they are a condiment that should incur an additional charge when they're added to a product. Speaking of which, that reminds me, I do need to mention that condiment products cannot ever be sold on their own. So if a product is set up with a product mode of condiment product, it cannot be sold on its own. It can only be sold after another product has been sold that has the condiment product attached to it. But if the condiment product should require an upcharge, maybe something like a sauce that we're adding, we could set a price or multiple prices here. However, if the condiment product does not require an additional cost, and most likely never will, the product mode, in addition to having the price set to 0, should also be set to 0 price. We can control that at the product level when we add the condiments, and I'll show you how to do that once we get there. But in this case, for the sirloin meal, when we're adding our temperatures to it, obviously we don't need to have a price added. Just keeping things simple for now. By the way, if a condiment product is a sauce or another type of non-stocked product that's made from stocked products, so we're mixing a couple of different things up here, there's a couple different ways that those could be set up with ingredient products that go into making a condiment product, or we could create a non-stocked product and then use that as the one ingredient to create the condiment. Couple different ways that we can get into some scenarios there, but again, just keeping things simple for now. So yeah, that's all we need to do at this point for our cooking temperatures anyway. These are pretty straightforward condiment product. Just need to make sure again that we've got the right product mode selected, it is a non-stocked product, and that we have our pricing set appropriately. Oops. Never actually changed that. Cool, there we go. But it was set to 0 price anyway, so it would have been 0 priced. So with that, we can go ahead and save that. And then we can just, in our cooking temps product group here, we can just copy this and we can have one. If I could type and spell today, that would be great. We can have medium rare, medium well. Well done. There we go. So we've got our cooking temperature saved there. Now we can go back to our sirloin meal and actually add these condiment products, which is as simple as selecting the condiment button from the screen again, and then finding the condiment product or condiment products to add, which, by the way, if we go to that group, we can actually select multiple at one time by either holding Control and selecting, or if we hold Shift, we can go straight down to the bottom of the list and select all of those at once. So just like that, we have our condiments added to our steak meal. But there are a couple things to run through here. At the moment, these have just been arranged alphabetically by default, but we can move them up or down differently, maybe in order from rare to well. Whoops. So we can have rare at the top, move up medium, rare, medium, medium, well. So we could have those ordered. That's how they'll show at the till. Also, you might have noticed some other settings down here. And if we go into edit mode, we can actually set them. So firstly, if a condiment product has multiple sizes, which these don't, but if they did, we'd be able to select those here. So if a condiment product does have multiple sizes and we want to offer those multiple sizes as condiments to the same product, they would need to be added separately. By the way, we can edit a condiment product right from here just by clicking on the product line. We'd be able to edit something there if we needed to. Cool. Then we have our column here called zero price, which is going to be on by default for all condiments initially. You can probably guess what that controls. So use case for that would be, let's say we have a condiment that, let's say we add a normal product as a condiment to a different product, and that normal product, when it's sold on its own, is sold for a price. But maybe when that normal product is added as a condiment to a different product, we don't charge for it. We would need to turn on the zero price flag there. So yeah, for condiments that are free, that flag does need to be on so that customers will not be charged for it. And that's how this is how we can control separately for each product if the condiment is free or not. So yeah, one example would be maybe we have sauces that incur a $1 upcharge when they're added to some items. So we have that $1 configured for that sauce, but maybe for other products when they're added as a condiment, they're free. So for the condiments for the products that we want the sauces to be free, we have the zero price option there. And for the others, we would leave the zero price off to make sure that they are charged appropriately. Cool. Next to that, we've got a couple related columns here, min and max quantities. You're probably wondering what these control. Before I get into that though, I should explain this concept of page breaks and what this new page is saying here. So condiments for a product can be organized into pages. For example, these cooking temperatures could be on the first page, and then after an operator selects one, they'll be prompted right to another page to select additional sides. In our example that we're running with here, additional starches to be added as a side. How we would set that up is by adding a page break, which is then going to give us a new page line here after our cooking temperatures. And then we'd be able to add what we need to beneath that. We can actually, by the way, enter some different text for these page breaks, which will show at the top of each page in SmartPause. So we might want to say here, select a cooking temp. And then here we might say optionally, and we'll add those in a minute. But for each of our pages, we can actually add titles there. Okay, so that brings us back to our min and max quantities, because each individual page can have these set, which allow us to control the number of condiments from any given page that can be selected. If both of these are set by 0, which they are by default, then the condiments are optional. So we're saying that there's no minimum. We're also saying that there's no maximum. There's no limit to how many an operator can select. So we're just leaving it completely up to the operator if we leave the quantities for the min and max to both 0. So if just the minimum is 0, and then we enter a number for The maximum, we're saying that it's still an optional condiment, but the max that we'll allow will limit how many can be selected. So if we left this like this, we'd say, cool, cooking temperature is optional, but if you add one, you can only add one. For our cooking temps though, what we actually want to do is set them both to 1, meaning operators will have to select one and only one. So after one is selected, then what would happen, because we've got a second page here, is that the page is going to exit and it's going to go on to the next page. Now, if we didn't have a second page, it would just exit out of the condiments page and out of that screen altogether and add the product to the transaction. By the way, we'll get into Smart Pause in the next lesson and demonstrate the workflow there. But yeah, and of course, we could set the maximum to something greater than 1 if we do want to force operators to select multiple, but for our cooking temps, that's how we're going to want to set that up. So that is the gist of condiments and condiment products. But what if we have maybe dozens of steak meals that we need to add these same cooking temperatures to? Wouldn't it be nice to make administering and maintaining condiment lists for them even easier? The answer, of course, is always going to be yes to a question like that. That's definitely a loaded question, but that's where our product mode called condiment groups come in. What condiment groups allow us to do is to contain a list of condiments themselves, and then that facilitates bulk changes to those lists, making it much quicker to not only add a list of condiments to other products, but also to be able to edit and maintain list of condiments in the long run. By the way, just as condiment lists themselves, so a condiment list like this is what I'm referring to when I talk about a condiment list. This can contain normal products, as I've mentioned. Condiment groups can contain normal products as well. Now, when a condiment group is added as a condiment to another product, then what happens is the condiment group's list of condiments is going to be shown in Smart Pause. So not only does that allow for a shortcut from an admin perspective, but it also allows for standard lists of condiments to be added to many products. So if I just exit edit this, and I'll exit to save those. By the way, we can see how many condiments we do have added here. And I'll save our sirloin meal. And back in our product list, if I just copy one of these cooking temps, we'll use this as the basis for our condiment group that they're all going to get put into. So our condiment groups do need to be non-stocked also, by the way. And I will just name this condiment group Protein Cooking Temps. Okay. And of course, we need to change the product mode to condiment group. Then what we're going to do is we are going to add the cooking temps as condiments to this group. So again, just select the top one, shift, select the bottom one, and we can add all those. And we'll probably want to reorganize these again. We'll put rare at the top, medium rare, whoops, medium rare, medium, medium well. And we've doubled up one there somehow, so I'll delete that one out. Cool, we've got rare, medium, medium well, well. Cool, there we go. Same as the workflow for adding these directly to the steak meal, and all the other settings are going to be the same, so we'll have to go into edit mode. We'll leave these as 0 priced, but we do want to set our min and max quantities there. I'll save that, I'll exit that, and I will save that. So now within our cooking temps product group, we have all of the cooking temps themselves, which are our condiment products, but then we do have our condiment group here called Protein Cooking Temps. If we go back into our steak meal now, what we can do is we will undo all of the work we just did. I'll delete all of these condiments out because we don't need them. What we're gonna do is we are just going to add that condiment group for protein cooking temps, and then we just need to move that up so it'll be in that page. Now, if we had dozens of other menu items to add these cooking temperatures to, we would only need to add this condiment group. We wouldn't need to add the individual condiments themselves. And if the condiments within that group ever change over time, probably not a great example with cooking temps, but if it were a group of, let's say, sauces, and the list of available sauces changes, we would only need to update the sauce condiment group, and those changes would then filter down to all the products that have the group attached to them. Cool, so we have our second page here, and I've mentioned a few times now that we can add normal products as condiments as well. So for our example here, we'll add some to this second page under this page break. We will add the starch options that I've mentioned earlier that I added to the database, added those product records just to demonstrate. But the better way to do it really would be to create non-stocked products that use those stocked products as ingredients along with other ingredients, and then add the non-stocked products as the condiments. For example, we could add a baked potato product to the product list that could be sold on its own, and that product would be configured with ingredients like X amount of potato, X amount of cooking oil, maybe X amount of sour cream, bacon, cheese, etc., whatever we're adding to our loaded baked potato. And we would then add that non-stocked loaded baked potato product to the condiment list. But again, we're just trying to demo this and save a little bit of time for this lesson. So in real life, do as I say, not as I do, if you would like your costing and your stock levels to be accurate. But all of that being said, we'll go ahead and add our starches. So we'll just go add condiment. We will find our starch product group, and we will add those. Cool. So then for these, we probably would want to turn off the 0 price flag. So we'll need to go into edit mode, turn these off so that those products, if they have prices allocated to them, will have the add-on prices when the side is added to this sirloin meal. And we could also leave the min and max as 0 so that the sides remain optional. And if customers want to, they could add as many as they want to, or maybe we would want to set a max quantity. It's really up to you how you'd like to set that up. But that's that. So we could exit that, exit condiments. We could see now that we have 4, and if we go back in to see that, we can just review. One of them being that condiment group, and then the starch options. So what will happen at the till, which again we'll see in the next lesson, is that when an operator orders this sirloin meal, they'll be prompted to select a cooking temperature. They'll be forced to pick one because the min and max are both set to 1. They'll then be immediately taken to the next page because of our page break, where they can optionally choose one or more of these sides to add. Cool. One last thing related to condiments that we'll cover while we're here is the setup for what are called free text condiments. So as a bit of background, we have a till function button that allows for entering what's referred to as a text condiment. Basically, the ability to add a condiment from SmartPause and allow operators to add text, which is going to then be included on remote printed dockets. However, for that to work properly, we first need to add a proxy text condiment product to the product list, and we need to assign it in global settings. So what I'll do here is I will add another modifiers group, and I'll just call it miscellaneous mods. And to that group, I will add a product, and I'll just select one of these cooking temps to copy, and we are going to call that text condiment, and we'll just save that as is. Now what we need to do is go to our global settings and assign that. And that is done right here on the main tab, text condiment product. And we just need to locate that from within the product list and select that. Now, when an operator goes to use that till function button for entering text condiment, a free text condiment, they will be able to do that, but we just need to have that proxy product set up in the database and then assigned at the global level first. And with that, we can deviate slightly away from condiment products and condiment groups to the other package product modes, although as you'll come to see, there are some striking similarities between how packaged products are configured and how condiment lists are added, but we'll get to that momentarily. Before we get started though, let's just briefly explain the premise of our packaged products and the differences between them. So as I mentioned at the start, we've got two of these. There's one called package fixed and one called package selection, both of which offer the ability to combine multiple products from the product list into a different product and sell that product at a set price. Now in a package fixed product, the original products that go into the packaged product, we'll call them sub-products. Those are set and they won't ever change unless the packaged product itself is modified in back office. So hence the name product or package fixed. The items within the product are going to be fixed. An example of a package fixed product could be something like just a simple bundle or a meal deal type of thing where the sub products always remain the same. So maybe we've got one that's let's say a pitcher of our BPOS Pale Ale with 20 buffalo wings, and that's packaged together into a package fixed product and sold for $30, where the type of beer and the buffalo wings themselves are locked in place. There's no option to change those or anything. And maybe when the pitcher of beer is sold by itself, it costs $20 and the wings are sold by themselves for $15, but when they're packaged together, the price for the package is $30. Now, on the contrary to the package fixed is the package selection product, and that type of package would be designed for the customer to be able to choose between different options for at least one portion of the package. So one example could be something like a combo meal where customers can choose one drink from some options, pick one main, and select one side to go with it, and that's all for one set price. Different example could be a set menu where customers, maybe the set menu includes a drink that is fixed in place, but then customers can select between a soup or salad to start and then choose from a range of mains that are offered and then finish with their choice of some pre-selected desserts, and that's all sold for one set price. Just a couple examples there, I think you get the idea. So if we head to back office and build some into our product list, we will do that. Now there are not a ton of products in this database yet to work with and to build into our packaged products. So what I'll do is I'll add some and then I will fast forward the video here while I add some normal products to the database that we can use, but I'll be back in a second. So I'll have stopped fast forwarding here to explain this. Since I selected a product to copy that contains condiments, I will be prompted and I have the option to copy those condiments as well if I would like to. This is a prime example of where if I were adding additional steak meals to this database, I could just copy the cooking temperatures product group or condiment group, and those starches, all those condiments could be copied over to a different product. I will now resume fast forwarding. By the way, I will stop fast forwarding here for a second just to mention that yes, I know I'm not adding ingredients to these meals. This is just to sort of quickly get through adding some additional products to the database, but in real life we would want to add all of the ingredient products first to the database and then add the ingredients and the correct quantities and whatnot as the ingredients to these meals. I'll now resume fast forwarding again. Okay, and we're back. So just to quickly show you what I added here, and I'll explain a bit. So I added some packaged beer. So we'll use those for one of our packaged products, some beer bottles here. And we've got some different sizes for those, so we can sell that by the single bottle, a small bucket, which is 3 bottles, a large bucket, which is 7 bottles, or we can sell a case, and we've got different prices depending on which is sold there. Different price for the single bottle, for the different size buckets, and for the case. Probably unrealistic prices here, but you never know. And then what I added was some additional food items. So we have, a chicken meal. We have a cod meal, a grilled cod meal that should be in the seafood meals product group. We've got some desserts. We've got our grilled cod meal, and I added another T-bone meal as well. And you might have seen that when I copied the sirloin meal to create the T-bone meal, I did copy the condiments, so those are just in there automatically for us. So what we'll do now is I'll add another group under our food group and our products for sale, and I will call it package meals. And then I will add a product to that group. So of course, again, we need to copy an existing product, and I will just I'll go into desserts and I'll just copy one of these. Just need to make sure to move it to the package meals group, and I will call this one beer bucket and wings. And then to make this a package fixed product, we will then need to select the package fixed option for the product mode. Notice that when I did that, the button that previously said condiments here and would have been used for adding those to a normal product has changed to say products instead of condiments, and that's how we'll add sub products to this. So again, if that's normal product, it shows as condiments. If I change that to one of these packaged products, either package fixed or package selection, that changes to products. Before I do add sub products to this, I just want to point out that the stock mode does need to be non-stocked, so I will leave that alone. Now we don't need to change anything else on this tab, again, unless we want to configure things like maybe adding a max sale quantity or adding a prerequisite, printer profiles, sorts and types, etc. But nothing else is required aside from the stock mode being non-stocked, and of course having the product mode set to package fixed for this example. But now, we can add our sub products by clicking this products button, which we can see looks remarkably similar to the window for adding condiments. In fact, the workflow and everything here are exactly the same, except that since we're adding products to a package instead of adding condiments to a normal product, everything is labeled as products. So products for, rather than saying condiments, add product rather than add condiment, so on and so forth. Basically anywhere that this form would have said condiments previously now says products. But yeah, this is where we'll be able to add, edit, and delete our sub products for our packages. We can add page breaks if needed, etc. Everything is the same as with condiments. So for this example, for this simple package fixed product, we will add our bottled beer that I added, packaged beer, BPOS lager. Cool. And we are prompted to select the size. So this one will go with the small bucket. And by the way, if we were adding condiments that had multiple sizes to a normal product, we would be prompted to select a size as well. But if we go into edit mode, we could change that if we would like to. Now, we don't need to add a page break here because the package is just going to be as we set it. There won't be any selections that are going to be made at the till. So I will also then add our buffalo wings from the starters group. Cool. And by the way, we also do not need to set any min and max quantities either, since this just is what it is with no selections. We're just enforcing that these products will be in the package when it's sold because it's a package fixed product. So as far as pricing goes, we do want to make sure that the 0 price flags are enabled for the products that are added, because then if we exit this list here, we will set the pricing for this packaged product on the store/pricing settings tab, and we'll add a price for the packaged fixed product here of maybe $25. But that's it. Since we've got our sub products added, again, if we wanted to change anything here, maybe we should change this, the product sort, and we've got our price. If we wanted to have a different price for accounts, we could do that. We don't need to enter a size name. We're only selling the one size for this packaged product, so we can just click OK to save that. So when this beer bucket and wings packaged fixed product is sold, it will sell those two separate products together. They'll print to their respective remote printers, and they will sell at that package price of $25 that I just entered. Cool. Now you might be wondering, how do we account for and report on the discount that's given via the packaged products? And that's a very good, very valid question. So say for example, that beer bucket, when it's sold on its own, is priced at $12, and when the wings are sold on their own, they are sold for $15. So that's $27 total, but we've set that package to be priced at $25, so there's a $2 discount there. Where does that $2 difference report to as a discount? Well, we already know that discount totalizers are set at the venue level on the Names tab, and down here at the bottom we have a drop down which is specifically for packaged products discount totalizer, which by default is going to be set to a discount totalizer that was also created with the database by default, and it is called package discount. If we scroll down, we can see it is discount totalizer number 15 called package discount. So all that's been set up for us by default. We can change any of that if we'd like to, but it might be best just to leave that as is, so that package discounts can be reported on separately from our other discount totals. And when we run through a demo in SmartPOS in the next lesson, you'll see that when that package is rung up at the till, it will show the package fixed product's name and price. So the beer bucket and wings, it'll show that package name and the $25 price. Below that will be some separate lines showing the sub products names, and then a discount line showing that price difference due to the package. Cool. For now, what I will do is we will head back to our product list so we can add our package selection product. And for this, I'll go back to our packaged meals product group, and we'll just copy that product. Now, do we want to copy the condiments for this, aka those sub products that are added? No, we don't. What I'll do is I'll name this. So this one is going to be a set menu, so I'll just call it that. Maybe we want to call it set menu 1 if we're going to have additional set menus, set menus in the venue. I thought I said set venue there. And we will need to change our product mode, of course, to package selection. I will set the price while we're here on this tab, so let's just go with $50 for our set menu, nice round number, and then back to the product settings tab and the sub products list. We will want to use some page breaks and things here. So since this set menu is going to include a choice of starters, I will add all of those. And I'll name this page, I'll need to go into edit mode, I'll name this page select one starter, and I will set both the min and max quantities to 1, so we're forcing the operator to choose one and only one. And then I'll add a page break, and I'll name this select one main, and I'll add our mix and min and max for those, and I'll add some products for that. I'll go with our steak and sirloin meals, and I will add our grilled cod, and I will add a roast chicken meal. And I will do the same thing for dessert, another page break, and add our desserts and min and max quantities for the desserts as well. So the workflow that we'll see in SmartPause in the next lesson will then be that the operator chooses this package selection product. They'll then be prompted to select one starter from the first page, one main from the second page, one dessert from the third. As with the package fixed, the transaction window will show the package selection, the package selection product's name and price. So it'll show set menu 1, $50. And then below that will be separate lines showing whichever sub-products names that they have selected, and a discount line showing the price difference due to the package. So that discount, again, is going to be added to the package discount totalizer that we have set at the venue level. I'll exit edit, exit products. We can confirm that those have been added there, and we'll save that. By the way, so if we wanted to set another set menu, maybe we'll call it set menu 2. I won't do it, but I'll just explain. If we wanted to add another set menu, maybe it's for 2 people, we could set it up like we've just done, but for the obviously we would probably have that priced differently, and we would want to change the minimum and maximum quantities here to 2, so that we're forcing the operator to select 2 from each page, and that's going to be a set menu for 2 people. Would be another option that we could do there. Okay, as we begin to wrap this lesson up, I promise there's just a couple minutes left. There is one other product mode that we'll chat about today, and then a few flags. The product mode is called comment display only, and it is used to simply display some information at the till. So I will add one to our system product group here, and I'll just copy the handling fee product, why not? And I'll just name it something like opening checklist, and I'll set the product mode to comment display only. Now, how this will work is that any text that's entered into this comment field is going to display in SmartPause when the products button is selected. So this particular example being a checklist might just be some instructions or information as a reminder to whoever is opening that day. So maybe, turn on the lights, and then the next opening checklist item for them to do. We could have all of that information entered in here. Now, let's say whoever's opening the venue for that day, they can refer to this information. They can optionally print it from SmartPause as well. Since this product mode is comment display only, it's not going to add anything to a transaction, so there's no need for us to set a price or a size or any other details for the product. This is one of those cases where we do still have these options here. These settings all still exist. We just know that they can be ignored for this product mode. So I'll just save this for now, and we'll see this demonstrated in an upcoming lesson as well. For the other product flags that we'll go over, I'll just open we'll go with our beer bucket and wings product, and just kind of rapid fire through a few of these somewhat common flags here that we skipped over in the last lesson. So there's one flag here that will only show if the package product modes is active. If one of the package product modes is active, either package fixed or package selection, and that is this flag called split package sales. So if I just temporarily change that to normal product, you can see that flag has disappeared. But if we go back to product fixed, that flag shows for us. So what this is used for is to control where the revenue for package sales goes and how the revenue is reported. When this flag is turned on, the sale amount of the package product is going to be prorated among the package's subproducts in relation to their normal price relative to one another. So we won't get into a detailed example in this course showing amounts and percentages and things like that, but there is an article in my BPOS that explains this flag in depth along with some reporting examples. But just so you know that this flag is here and gives us the option to split package sales at a prorated amount, that's there for us. Cool. Another one we'll go over is this prompt we'll go over partial quantity allowed first. So when this is enabled, the product can be sold in fractions of a whole. So obviously a bad example with this package product, but this could be used for something like maybe we're selling pies and they can be sold by the half or by the quarter, but they're only built into the system as one pie. If we turn this on, we can then sell partial quantities for the half or quarter or an eighth or whatever we'd like to sell. So that would allow for operators to then enter decimals for the quantity that's being sold from the till, and that's going to then keep all of our reporting correct and true, and it's going to adjust the price relative to the selling size that's being fractioned. Along with that, products that are set up for partial quantity allowed, and other products too, we may want to force a prompt for the quantity that's being sold. If that's the case, we can also turn this flag on, which will indeed prompt the operator to enter the quantity to sell whenever the product is selected from SmartPOS. So normally that's optional. Operators can enter a quantity that's being sold, but if this flag is on, they will be forced to do so. Cool. Next that we'll look at is the no discount flag, which will prevent a product from being discounted in SmartPOS. I'll probably reference back to this again in an upcoming lesson where we go through discounts in detail. But lastly for today, we have our show size first flag, which we can turn on for a product if the product has multiple sizes for sale. If we want the size to be shown before the product name, that will be both on the till screen and on printed receipts. So otherwise the size name will be shown second, but if we would like to show the size name first, we can turn that flag on to do so. Okay, I'll just cancel out, make sure I haven't saved anything there inadvertently that I would not like to, and that is another lesson done and dusted for us. Thank you as always for your time and attention, and we'll see you in the next one.